Hello? Your dreams are yours alone. I'm going to repeat that one more time and let that really sink in. Your dreams are yours alone. What do I mean when I say this? We all have goals in our lives, short term, long term, middle, whatever. All of those goals are simply set by our own subconscious and conscious minds. While we may be influenced by the people around us, those goals are essentially the very essence of the kind of people that we are, or the people that we aspire to be. Which is why I'm going to share today with you how you are it and how external voices truly do not matter. While that sounds like the cliche of the biggest sorts, that it's very easy to say that don't let external voices get to you, do not let the voices of other people get to you. It actually is very, very important for us to achieve any sort of goal in our lives. And from personal examples from my life and my journey so far in the 28 years that I've had, I'm going to be sharing examples of how you can actually not let external voices get to you. Before I move ahead, I know it's going to be a little bit annoying, but just the students, can I just request you all to stand up? Just for a quick minute. Just the students, yeah? Perfect. We're going to do a small, quick activity. I want you all to raise your hands as high as you possibly can. As high as you possibly can. Just one single hand, yeah? All right? Can you raise it just a little bit higher? Perfect. You all can sit down now. So the first time when I asked you to raise your hands high, you thought that's the best that you did. And when I said, can you push yourself a little further, you did reach a little higher. This was an activity that I was told to do in my 5th standard, and it really sat well with me because my teachers told me that why would you wait for opportunities to come round once again? Why not give it your best shot in the very first go? And that's something that I stuck with for years on until I grew up and formed my own opinions and my own school of thought and realized that it's not true that you only have one shot. I had a troll on social media who almost 8 years ago commented saying, you are the girl who's failed 1,000 times, because I had 6 failed careers. I wanted to go for medicine and I was studying to be a cardiothoracic surgeon. Just before the entrance exams, I got a full body blown chickenpox, which was all over my hands to the extent with which I could not even hold the pen with which I was giving the exam. Because I still went in, they put me in an isolation chamber in all the entrance exams, and I still gave the exams. My mind was working, but my hands wouldn't work as fast. I had a fever of 102 degrees. And I ended up getting selected into the best dental colleges. But that's not something I wanted to do. Failure number 1. Failure number 2. I went on to do microbiology, which is my degree of triple majors in microbiology, chemistry, and zoology. But I did not pursue it to the masters. Failure number 2. And why did I do that? Because in my college time, everybody came up to me and said, you're so tall, why don't you pursue beauty, glamour, why don't you go for the Miss India pageant? So I quit after my bachelor's, I got my degree, and during college, I started to work towards the Miss India pageant, started to go towards glamour. Now in all of this, once I lost my first goal, I started to lose my inner voice. So I let the external voices get to me. The external voices began deciding what I should do for myself, right? I started training for the Miss India pageant. I lost 30 to 35 kilos of weight because I thought I had to look a certain way. And I understand that that's the criteria or the precedent that's been set, which I did. Eventually, I was body shamed and I was told that it's still not good enough, even though I had abs back then. So I chose to quit, and that was the first voluntary choice that I made on my own, where I said I do not want to carry with this any further, and I chose to quit. 3rd failure, that is. The 4th failure is when I moved on to modeling. Just after Miss India, I did modeling for a couple of years. It was a fantastic experience. I did some great shows, some great campaigns, but I still felt like there is a lot of body negativity, and that is not something that I stood for. I said, how could something mean to be for you when it's not making you happy in your core? So I chose to quit that. Fifth failure. And the sixth failure would be that I tried and started doing motivational speaking, and before my first talk, the first comment that I got, because I spoke a lot about vulnerability when I started social media, from somebody was, "You are literally the girl who's failed 1,000 times." And that was the topic for my first TEDx talk, and I called myself the girl who failed 1,000 times. Simply because of one external voice calling me that, and I chose to use that as a topic for the first TED talk that I ever gave. I took control, I regained control of my life, rather than allowing external voices to control every single thing that I do. So who are we? We are, I believe, and I think some of you might agree as well, figments of the universe. And when I say figments, it's because the universe in its vastness is a huge mess of chaos, randomness, and yet organized movement. We are figments, and yet we embody the entire universe within ourselves. We have 1 million cells working together every millisecond simply to keep us alive, to keep us going, to keep us breathing, and to simply exist. So times when you want to question yourself, you have to understand that we, each individual, embody a universe within us. When the universe works, it does not let anybody or anybody's voices question it. It just does the work. And I request you all to understand that the workings in your body are not done to make other people happy. Your body works to make yourself survive. So you cannot let the voices of somebody on the outside affect the movements of a body that is simply working so that you exist. Something that I learned very early on, and I'm quite grateful about, is finding my purpose in life. When I talk about purpose, I've always, in most of my talks, have spoken that the key to achieving massive results is not just channelizing your energy in one direction. I feel that we are masters of multitasking, and we can do more than one thing if really the need be, and if we really feel like it. And I know there are so many of us, while in our personal lives, professional lives, are doing multitaskings on the daily basis. So why would you limit yourself when you're talking about career, when you're talking about different goals that you have in your life? For example, you're all academics and you're all students aspiring to complete your degrees. But at the same time, I'm sure you all have a creative side. I'm sure you all want to maybe pursue something else later on, whether it be academics, whether it be creative, art, whatever it may be. I believe in not limiting yourself. So I believe that you need to find one purpose, which is your primary. Of course, for me, it's ideally motivational speaking. That's what I look at. That's what I look at it as. But you also have a secondary, tertiary, and so on. So over the years, when I gave my first talk, I saw an influx of people coming onto my social media. And I saw that a lot of people responded well to the whole tagline of the girl who failed 1,000 times. And that's when I started to realize that this is something that people associate with. This is something that people want to talk about. And that's when I started to do more talks, get invited to more talks, and that is when I found my true purpose or true calling of life, which is public speaking and motivational speaking. Having given, this would be my 9th TEDx talk, and having spoken at many different other platforms as well, I've realized one thing, and which is very, very important, and that works for me, it may not essentially work for all of you, is that vulnerability is very, very important when you're talking on a public platform or when you're sharing stories with people. Simply because when we look at our idols, right? When I have, for example, Stephen Curry, when I have Gary Vee, when I have so many other people that I look up to, I don't look up to them for their success stories. I look up to them for the times that they've failed and overcome those times. So essentially, vulnerability. So I feel that it's very, very important to talk about your failures rather than successes. Successes will speak for themselves. You do not have to preach or talk about your successes. They will talk for themselves. It's important that you share your failures with the world. So this was when I had lost the weight. The person on the right, I thought, was super happy with the way she looked. And that, believe me, that is when the body shaming started, not on the left, because I hadn't entered like the glamour world back then. On the right is when the body shaming started. And then I had an injury because of overworking out and not giving my body time to recover. I had an injury of my lower back, which is I have a disc bulge between my L4 and L5 vertebrae, which even to this morning I was suffering because it's a 7-year-old injury. I was on rehab for 1.5 years, but every now and then it does pop up, it does come up, and it does hinder my daily life. But back then when I was on bed rest for 1.5 years, all the people that told me to lose the weight came up to me to visit me, and the first thing that they said was not, "Oh my God, are you all right?" The first thing that they said was, "Oh, Sha, now she's going to put on all the weight back." And that's when I realized, are these the people that I'm listening to? Are these the people who I'm allowing to get to me? Are these the people that are going to decide the trajectory of my life? And that's when I put a hard stop to external voices and started to listen to what was coming from within, which was, of course, a lot of vulnerability. It's not easy to be open about your problems in the world. And that is where the understanding of what you think you want versus what you truly want sank in. I thought I wanted that body, which to this day, at my fittest self, I would. But that was not my fittest self. It was my most aesthetically pleasing self. But I had injured myself. I had low blood count. I had all kinds of problems in the image on the right. So when you're vulnerable or true to yourself is when you can truly identify what you think you want versus what you truly want. Just a few more references. Yeah, so this is something that I want to share. This is the first time I'm actually talking about this in any of my talks. I usually am not one to call people out when they do social media bullying. I'm someone who just ignores and moves on. But this is something that I want to tell a lot of people because I have seen many youngsters come up to me in my talks or in daily life and tell me that how do you deal with bullying, how do you deal, and my response was just ignore it, it's fine, just move on and don't really care about the things that people are saying. But that does not seem to work for everybody. Not everybody is very good at just ignoring and moving on. So we're going to talk about how insecure people try to make you feel smaller. Every time I have had somebody who's commented negatively on my social media or had a negative response to the way I choose to live my life, I have actually gone and done a little bit of research on that person every once in a while to see what kinds of lives they're living. And every time it's those people, they'll have something written on their bio that says, choose to spread love, be kind only. And that just makes me think that if that's the message that they're portraying to the world, then I'm sure it's not their understanding of things, it's their own insecurity that's being projected onto me. They've had a bad day, and that's when I learned to forgive. It's very important to understand that people's insecurities are what lash out onto you, and you need to learn to just forgive, not just ignore and block, which I still do to this day. But I first choose to forgive. Just forgive them. Pray that they find the kindness that they couldn't find within themselves. Pray that they have people in their life that are not that harsh or bash them unnecessarily, and they find the love that they've lacked in their life to give to other people. This is something that I've learned from my father actually. Back in my college days, I was stuck in traffic and I couldn't get to my test. I had an exam that day and I was almost, I think, 20 minutes away from college by auto. I was in an auto that time. And I called my father and I was panicking, like panicking to another level. I said, I'm going to be so late. He said, can you get down and walk to your college? I said, no, it's really far. Like I'm 20 minutes away by an auto, so it's going to take me forever. He said, can you make the auto go faster? I said, no. He's like, can you book a cab? I said, no. He's like, it's not in your hand, so what are you going to do about it? You cannot do anything. Might as well sit there, revise, so you're at a place where you can maybe perform faster to catch up for the time that you've lost. I said, but I'm not in a space to do that. He's like, so it's all out of your hand. Why are you worried? Just let it be. Once you're there, do your best. That's all you can do. So if you have a problem in life and the answer is no, then why are you worried? If you have a problem in life and the answer is yes, and you can do something about it, then why are you worried? If you cannot do something about it, then why are you worried? It's either in your hands or not in your hands. Either way, it's not something to worry about. Just this is how I usually end most of my talks, and I feel like it's a nice way to round things off. It's attaching yourself to a higher purpose. Almost 6 years ago, I found my higher calling and my higher purpose in life, which was the Saturday Good Deed initiative that I started 6 years ago. It's ideally a day which is the most convenient for all of us, which is a Saturday, because it's followed by a Sunday and most of us are very relaxed on that day. The initiative goes on as you find something that you just do by going out of your way to do something special for someone that's not as privileged as you in the societal sense, or is not as blessed as you've been, right? So Saturday Good Deed stands for an initiative wherein you don't actually take out money and hand it out to people. You take out time, you take out effort from your life. It could be a single apple, or it could be donations of clothing, books, whatever else you're giving to an orphanage or whoever else on the road. This is an initiative that I started 6 years ago, and this is something that has helped me stay very, very grounded and has helped me understand the higher powers that be, has helped me understand how grateful we need to be to attract further blessings, and has helped me understand that every time we talk about our problems, I know that someone else's problems do not diminish our own. But when we look at other people's lives, it does remind us to be extremely grateful for the things that we are blessed with. And finding your higher purpose leads to acceptance and gratitude. When you learn to accept the things that you've been blessed with, when you learn to accept the hardships that have been sent in your life, you automatically end up feeling a lot of gratitude towards the universe. And the key to unlocking more growth, the key to unlocking more blessings is having gratitude, humility, and thankfulness for where you've been sent, no matter where that place may be. There's always somebody working a little bit harder. There's always somebody who has more trouble than you to reach where they are today. Be thankful and count your blessings every single day. Before I close all my talks, I say this, and this is something that I've ended all my talks with, and I would request that you say this to yourselves every single day. I'll say it once, and the second time I do say it, please do repeat with me. It goes as, I'm fire, I am ice, I am the storm that hits you twice. Let's go, everybody. I am fire, I am ice, I am the storm that hits you twice. Thank you so much, everybody. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.